we want to take a look at self-care. And that's in these past few months, we hear so much about self-care. We read articles about self-care. People say, you need to take better care of yourself. But what does that really mean? Because I think it can become kind of a watered down blanket term about self-care. So for me, I know for me personally, these past few weeks have been tougher than usual. And I know that when my energy is down, or if I'm feeling kind of low, I know that it means that I haven't been taking a look at what aspects of my energy and what parts of my day-to-day living are needing my attention. Satir, her mandala, is such a beautiful way of really taking a deeper look at different aspects of taking care of ourselves. And for me, I find it's a way to check in with how we're doing in different areas and maybe noticing what needs tending to. So I thought we could take a look at that this morning. So not about teaching the mandala, but using the mandala as a way to check in with yourself and how you're tending to each of these areas. Or maybe you've been forgetting to tend to these, or has even crossed your mind to look at certain aspects of how you take care of yourself. So our intention this morning is really to just bring awareness for your own self-care, your own energy. And because when we have awareness, as you know, we have more choice in what we want to change, what we might want to add in or let go of, or what we want to pay some attention to, so that we feed and nurture our souls, those essential services for the soul. So we'll take a quick look at how the mandala, we're going to do just a little bit of how the mandala relates with the iceberg and where that fits, because often those of you who are familiar with the mandala, you might be familiar with the picture of it, but let's just see where that all fits in with the whole scheme of things. So I'm going to share my screen because sometimes a picture does better than words do. So I'm just going into screen share and hit play. Whoops, that's not working, but it will work. Play. Whoops. Okay, can you all see this? I see a nod of the head. Okay, good. All right, so just where the mandala fits in with the whole iceberg, we go right down to that level of self. So I want you to imagine this iceberg, and self is our life energy, our essence, the core of who we are, our soul. So not ego self, but just where all of our resources, our creativity and our wisdom, our spontaneity, our caring and compassion, our love, all of that is at that level. And then taking that place of self, and we're going to flip the iceberg over so that we're looking from the bottom up. So imagine, just use your imagination too, because my graphics, I don't have the 3D thing going on. But so here, this is self, and it's funny, I'm pointing to it, even though I don't have a pointer. But if we take self and all these different parts that you see around the self are just the subtle energies and different ways that our life energy can express itself and different energies of ourself. So we're taking that self, and I know sometimes when we teach about self, people, what is self and how does that work? So looking at it in terms of these kinds of energies, physical energy, intellectual energy, emotional energy, sensory energy, spiritual, interactional, and contextual. And I want you to imagine this now, and if any of you are graphic artists, I'd love a picture of this, because I want you to imagine this as a cylinder, a three-dimensional cylinder going all the way up through the iceberg, because each one of these energies can manifest in every part of the iceberg. So for example, well, physical is the first word I see right now when I look at my screen. So let's take physical energy, and that can show up in our behavior. You know, what am I doing with my body, or how am I exercising? How am I moving or not moving my body? And it also and it impacts my feelings and my emotions. I know when I'm exercising, I feel a lot happier. I feel more joy. It impacts our feelings about our feelings, how I see myself, how I see others. Physical can also, you know, shows up in my expectations. I should be exercising more, or I should be resting more, or I should be sleeping better. So we have expectations about what that could look like. And then there's yearnings, like what yearning gets met when I'm using my physical energy. I'm meeting my yearning for, I yearn for health, freedom to move, freedom within my body. So we can take any parts of the mandala and really look at how is that showing up and flowing in our energy, and what are some of the stuck places. So yeah, I'm almost imagining this like a cylinder, like a hologram, this that goes up through the center of the iceberg. So looking at the mandala, as we look at these parts, I hope you're just reflecting for yourself. You know, we've looked at physical, like what about intellectual energy, this subtle energy of how you're using your intellect, or what am I learning these days? What am I reading? How is this feeding, or am I neglecting this part? Have I put that aside? And we can check in with our spiritual energy. What kind of spiritual practices do you have in place or don't have in place? Whether it's meditation or prayer or just being in nature, or whatever that is for you. How are you doing in that area? And then our emotional energy. I know, you know, sometimes for me, I know I can push my emotions aside sometimes, or the emotions I don't want to feel, like, oh, I can't feel that right now. I need to focus on, I need to be with my clients, so I need to put this stuff aside. And if we do that too much, it just, well, we know that emotions manifest in our bodies, manifest if we block the flow of just accepting our entire experience, then we're going to get into some stuck places. And I know I get off balance and off kilter if I'm not acknowledging and accepting where I'm at in a moment in time. So just, yeah, checking in. How am I doing? How am I with my emotions these days? Am I putting them aside, or am I allowing myself to experience them? And then our sensual energy. How are we using our 5 senses? Going for walks in nature and just really, am I really soaking in? Do you notice what you see, what you hear, what you smell, and what you taste? And touch. How are you gentle with yourself? Even, you know, when we wash our hands, I actually love washing my hands now. Just lathering the soap, and just, how are you connecting with all of your senses? And sometimes we can rush through and just not even pay attention to that and just forge ahead. And then there's our nutritional energy, which isn't just about the food we put into our bodies, which is a part of it, but it's how are you feeding yourself? How are you feeding all of these parts of yourself? So, excuse me, nutritional energy, paying attention and being stuck inside for so long. I know a lot of people have turned to baking. I think I've seen many photos of sourdough bread on social media. But how are you? What are you discovering about what you enjoy? When you eat that chocolate, now I have chocolate on the brain, you know, are you tasting, are you really savoring and enjoying every flavor and texture? And then there's our interactional energy, which is how we use our energy to either connect with people or to not connect with people. Like who do I want to connect with that sort of feeds me? Who doesn't feed my energy? You know, I've even with looking at news and stuff happening on the news, like who do I want to talk to and share about what's going on? So how are we using our interactional energy? And as I'm talking about this, I'm just, you know, people are popping into my mind about who haven't I connected with in a long time, who I'd like to reach out to. And then there's our contextual energy, which is really how are we interacting with our environment around us? You know, as I look at my desk right now, it's a little more cluttered than it should be. There's that expectation. So what can I do about changing that? I can change the clutter. I can take care of that. I can change the setup of my office and what I have on my shelves and what I look at out the window. I can enjoy my garden outside. So just checking in with your environment and your surroundings and how do you feel when you're in that place, and how do you want to feel, and what could you change about that? Okay, I think, did we go around the whole mandala? I'm doing a circle with my head. Yeah, so I'm gonna escape the screen here for a moment. And looking at, as you are in touch with all these parts, just being curious. I want to move into questions for reflection because we want to give you extra time today in the breakout rooms so that you can really explore for yourself, because this is about self-care. So wanting to do just a review of the mandala so that you can really dive in and be curious about what areas do you devote the most attention to, and how are you doing that? And what yearning is met when you attend to this? And then also looking at what area would you like to devote more attention to, and how do you want to do that? And again, looking at your yearnings, what yearning would be met if you attended to it? So when we neglect these parts, you know, what is the cost when we neglect these parts? What is the cost for you? And what do you notice when parts get neglected?